people feel better in the room. And apparently she and Shannon had already discussed before I got there which song to sing, and one of the songs would have been Amazing Grace. Does it make you want to puke? And the sad part about that song is I know it's supposed to be taken in a certain light. Like, it's more, you know, it's not about someone being a wretch, or as someone else said, the singer would be calling him or herself the wretch, you know, and sort of being humbled in front of God per se, or whatever. But was it intended to get to reach my aunt's ears while she laid there 90% dead, basically? Do you find that disgusting? I do. So they decided to sing Amazing Grace. Someone posited that maybe because they adopted a daughter, apparently they couldn't conceive or what have you. I don't know what the issue was. But by adopting a daughter, you're sort of fitting in or blending into a society that's ever changing because of, some say, the New World Order or what have you. This, you know, their adopted daughter happens to be Caucasian-ish. So, but they'd be blending in. Also, my cousin, the adopted father, also works for, like, in behavioral health and stuff. He's been a social worker-ish. He's played in these roles, and I mean that. He's played the role. I am so not kidding. I'm sure they use human resources as really talent acquisition, a place to audition, to pretend. That's how bad this was. So anyway, what was I saying about? Anyway, I lost my train of thought because someone threw something else in. They have an adopted daughter. And they might have been trying to fit in or look a certain way, keeping up appearances or blending into a society that they perceived as ever-changing. They don't want to appear to this or that in case, you know, they wind up being unfavored in a new world, per se. So were their intentions to take control of someone else's child and program that person and prove they're all that in a bag of chips, while also blending into a new world society? Look at all the white tents here, white caps. Yeah, that's kind of sad to live that way, because you would hope that people would be more sincere in their adoption process. But anyway, you know, I know they care, so we'll leave it at that. They want her to have a good life, and hey, she probably has a better life than the biological son of her adopted dad. He has a son that isn't cared for as much. But anyway, this woman went on singing Amazing Grace, and I wanted to puke, and I was just like, are you kidding? It's really odd when you are a real, natural, sincere person and you're in the presence of people who have learned to act, pretend, and lie their way through their lives. It makes you want to puke and throw up. It is such fakery, it is whoa. So anyway, at some point, I knew I needed to leave. And I do worry about being overly timed or timeliness, because it was closer to 3 o'clock. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go, and sort of, if I were to have a handler in the sky, they would say, we need you to leave now. You know, now's a good time to go. After the song of Amazing Grace and my aunt feeling like a wretch. So I guess the point that I wanted to make earlier was they would be reminding my aunt that grace is amazing because they helped their family blend into a cartel drug-ridden Florida. That would be their perception. I don't think it's reality. They desperately cling to a brainwashed ideology, an ideology that brainwashes people. They've lived their whole lives by this. And they are brainwashing young children with the same ideas. So anyway, they finish, you know, Amazing Grace. Who can save a wretch like them? And as I'm leaving the hospital room, they keep wanting me to say hotel, but it's a hospital room. But in a way, it's a hotel because a bunch of hoes work there and have to go there. Go to Shands, not North Florida Regional, trust me. If I could sue that hospital, I would. I don't know how to do it. So I walk out of the hospital room, but I run into someone desperately needing to play surgeon or to it's almost like he's a snapper. I would call him a snapper, my cousin, Alan. We are rushing in as if we're a surgeon rushing into OR. We have our arms up in the air. We are scrubbing our forearms, our hands up in the air as if we're going into surgery. And he backs into the door because he can't touch the door with his hands. It was during the end of the pandemic. This was April 2021. So things were starting to settle down, especially in a smaller town like Gainesville. Things began to get back to normal a lot sooner than, say, Philadelphia, where you have a denser population and smaller quarters and so forth and so on. So I wind up half bumping into this clown who desperately needed to act like or pretend to be or even mock. I was wondering if he was mocking surgeons. That's how desperately he was acting. Here's someone who can't verbalize his communication. He has to show it. You see what I mean? It's a showing. These people actually do have an education. Like, technically they have an education beyond high school. But they learned something that has diminished them as credible human beings. They learned how to fake their way through lives and act. They might think, I was trying to figure out, like, do they think they're sending a message through signaling? Do they think they're... I was trying to figure out what they were doing. What I do know is they didn't care 1 ounce about me. I lost my mom, my dad, and my aunt, all within an 8-month to 9-month period. I was already in Florida, living there, in order to get back on my feet because of what happened here. Oh, should we do this? And I had survived 8 years of prisoner of war level torture here. It's hard to believe today because I sound a certain way and I might appear a certain way, and that's the beauty of it. Well, I'm glad that they built a building in honor of me. I used to live about 4 blocks down on the street. Oh, there's a plane that's barely making it up over. You can't see it probably through the viewfinder, but it's pretty low and it's slowly climbing, and it's doing like an angle climb up over here. I wrote a book, a tomb of a novel, over 900 pages, Duplicity and Duress, Not Factories in the Making. I used the pseudonym Vans because I was afraid to put my real name on it. I actually was afraid to write the book. But someone said, just say fiction based on true events. Here comes this plane. It's so slow that I wonder like how it stays in the air, but I guess it's deceiving. So there it goes. It's kind of quiet. I have no idea what kind of plane it is, but it seems to be a regular passenger plane, but maybe slightly nicer. So anyway, I would walk these streets for years on end, being stuck in the apartment in which I lived about 4 blocks down at 626 South 19th Street. I would be tortured from beginning the 4th Monday of January 2011, when I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment, through a series of orchestrated events. I thought it was the last night of my life. My life changed on a dime